I've been asked to sing at her funeral, which I consider to be an incredible honor. I mean, I've been invited to the funeral anyway.
Elton John, the legendary voice behind decades of music and one of Princess Diana's closest friends, has finally broken his silence about her, and what he reveals is more unsettling than anyone expected. For years, the world believed it understood Diana's life, the glamour, the pain, and the secrets hidden behind palace walls. But Elton's confession challenges that picture in a way no one saw coming. His words open a side of Diana's story filled with emotion, conflict, and regret. But what truly happened between them? And why is he speaking out now? So, what do you think? Was Elton John right to speak out about Princess Diana now? Or should he have remained silent? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. To help us create more videos and uncover the latest royal story, please subscribe. The Unforgettable Night at Windsor Castle. It all began during the unforgettable summer of 1981, a time when Britain was completely captivated by the upcoming royal wedding of Charles and Diana Spencer. Newspapers, television stations, and people across the country couldn't stop talking about the young woman who was about to become the future Princess of Wales. To the public, it looked like the beginning of a perfect fairy tale. But for Elton John, life at that moment was very different. He was already one of the biggest music stars in the world, living under constant public attention, endless pressure, and the demands that came with worldwide fame. That same summer, Elton attended Prince Andrew's 21st birthday celebration at Windsor Castle, one of the grandest royal events of the year. The magnificent ballroom sparkled beneath enormous crystal chandeliers, while elegantly dressed guests moved through the room surrounded by centuries of royal tradition. Although Elton had met members of the royal family before, he later admitted that he still felt like an outsider. He was successful and admired, yet he never truly felt that he belonged in such formal royal circles. As guests chatted and enjoyed the evening, Elton quietly sat at the piano, gently playing music and keeping a low profile. He had no idea that within moments, his life was about to change forever. Then, everything changed. Diana Spencer quietly stepped into the room, and almost instantly, the atmosphere felt different. Young, elegant, and naturally beautiful. She carried a warmth that drew people toward her without trying. It wasn't just her appearance that stood out. It was her genuine kindness, gentle smile, and effortless ability to make everyone feel at ease. When they first looked at each other, there was nothing planned or dramatic about it. Elton smiled, and Diana smiled back with such genuine warmth that it felt as though they had already met before. They quickly fell into conversation, laughing comfortably without the usual formality that surrounded royal events. Before long, they were joking about the music and playfully pretending to dance the Charleston in the middle of the ballroom. The unexpected moment made people stop and watch, and even the Queen reportedly smiled at their carefree fun. Elton John met Diana at Prince Andrew's birthday celebration, and the two became friends almost instantly. But how far would their friendship grow? And what did they have in common that brought them so close? Let's uncover the details. A lifelong friendship under pressure. As the years passed, the friendship between Elton John and Princess Diana grew much stronger, becoming one of the most unexpected and genuine relationships of its time. To the outside world, they seemed to have very little in common. Elton was one of the biggest music stars on the planet, living a fast-paced life filled with sold-out concerts, flashing cameras, and worldwide fame. Diana, on the other hand, was stepping deeper into the royal family, where every smile, every word, and every decision was watched, judged, and discussed by millions. Yet, behind those very different lives, They shared a struggle that few people truly understood. Both knew what it felt like to be surrounded by people and still feel completely alone. Both lived under constant public attention, where every mistake became a headline, and every personal moment seemed to belong to everyone else. For Diana, royal life was becoming far more difficult than she had imagined. The pressure to be the perfect princess never seemed to end. She often felt trapped inside a world filled with strict rules, endless expectations, and very little freedom to simply be herself. Behind her warm smile was a woman carrying deep emotional pain that few people ever saw. Elton faced his own private battles. While the world celebrated his music and glamorous lifestyle, he struggled with personal challenges, self-doubt, and the exhausting pressure of living in the public eye. He understood what it meant to hide pain behind a smile. That shared understanding brought them closer than anyone expected. They never had to explain what they were feeling because the other already understood. There was no need to pretend, compete, or impress. Their friendship became a place where both of them could finally relax. Diana loved making Elton laugh, teasing him about his colorful outfits and playful personality. Elton admired Diana's quick wit, kindness, and ability to brighten any room, despite everything she was carrying inside. Whether they were attending charity events or simply spending quiet time together, they found comfort in each other's company. What began as a chance meeting slowly became a deep friendship, built on trust, honesty, laughter, and compassion. In a world filled with expectations and public pressure, they gave each other something priceless, a place where they could simply be themselves. Elton John comforted Diana and helped ease the pressures of royal life. But how genuine was their friendship? And what was it about Diana that brought her so close to Elton John? Now, let's unravel how kindness, compassion, and shared pain brought Elton John and Princess Diana even closer. The private friendship that's never seen behind. The glamorous headlines, red carpet appearances, and royal ceremonies. Elton John and Princess Diana shared a friendship built on something much more meaningful than fame. While the public often saw them smiling together at charity events and high-profile gatherings, very few people knew about the quiet moments that truly defined their relationship. Their bond was filled with genuine kindness, heartfelt conversations, and unwavering support during some of the hardest times in their lives. One of the strongest things that brought them together was their shared passion for helping people. During the height of the HIV and AIDS crisis, fear and misinformation had spread across the world. Many people refused to even go near those living with the disease because they believed they could catch it through simple contact. The stigma was everywhere. Princess Diana chose to challenge those fears in a way that captured global attention. She visited hospitals, sat beside patients, held their hands, hugged them, and spoke to them with warmth and dignity, all without wearing gloves. At a time when many people were afraid to even stand close to someone with HIV or AIDS, her actions sent a powerful message that compassion should always be stronger than fear. Elton deeply admired her courage. He later said that Diana helped change the way the world looked at HIV and AIDS simply by treating patients with kindness and respect. To him, her actions showed the true strength of her character. Away from the cameras, however, both of them carried emotional burdens that few people fully understood. Diana struggled with loneliness, constant media attention, and the pressure of living inside the royal family. Elton also faced his own personal battles while trying to maintain his public image as one of the world's biggest entertainers. Because they understood each other's pain, they found comfort in the simplest moments. Sometimes they would spend hours talking, laughing about everyday things, or quietly sharing their worries without fear of being judged. Elton often visited Diana simply to listen. There were no reporters, no photographers, and no public performances. Only two close friends offering each other support. Their friendship was never built on titles or celebrity. It was built on honesty, compassion, trust, and the rare comfort of knowing someone truly understood what you were going through. Beyond Elton John's admiration for Diana's courage in standing beside AIDS patients, what else began to affect their friendship? How far did the distance between them grow? And was their friendship truly destroyed, or did they simply drift apart? Let's uncover the heartbreaking details. The slow breakdown of a deep bond. As the early 1990s unfolded, life became increasingly difficult for both Elton John and Princess Diana. The friendship that had once seemed so effortless was now facing pressures from every direction. They were still among the most recognizable people in the world, but with that fame came endless public attention, emotional exhaustion, and the constant feeling that every decision they made was being watched and judged. Little by little, those pressures began to affect even their closest relationship. The laughter was still there, but so were growing misunderstandings. Small disappointments that might once have been forgotten started to carry more weight. Without realizing it, the distance between them slowly began to grow. Everything finally came to a head in 1996. Elton had been working on a special charity project, a coffee table book whose proceeds would support AIDS charities, a cause that both he and Diana deeply cared about. Diana had agreed to write the foreword, and to Elton, her involvement meant far more than adding a famous name to the project. It represented their shared commitment to helping others and symbolized the trust they had built over the years. Then, without warning, everything changed. Diana suddenly withdrew from the project. According to Elton, royal advisors had strongly objected to her involvement because the book contained artistic photographs of semi-nude male models. They believed it was inappropriate for a member of the royal family to be connected to such material. For Elton, the news was heartbreaking. He didn't simply see it as a cancelled contribution. He saw it as a personal disappointment from someone he considered one of his closest friends. Feeling hurt, he made it clear that he was unhappy with her decision. But Diana was fighting battles that Elton could not fully see. She was dealing with enormous pressure from the royal establishment, intense media attention, and the emotional strain following the collapse of her marriage. Every decision seemed to come with impossible consequences. The disagreement soon led to painful letters, hurt feelings, and growing silence. Conversations that once came so naturally disappeared. The warmth that had always defined their friendship gave way to distance and misunderstanding. Before either of them truly understood what was happening, two of the closest friends had stopped speaking altogether, leaving a painful silence that neither of them expected would become so difficult to break. Elton John admitted that Diana's decision to withdraw from his charity project deeply hurt him. But what pain was Diana carrying beyond that disagreement? Did they ever get the chance to talk honestly about what had wounded them both? Or did pride and silence keep them apart until it was too late? Let's uncover the emotional details. Silence, distance, and emotional isolation. For many months, Elton John and Princess Diana continued living their very public lives. But one important part of their world had suddenly gone quiet. The close friendship they had once shared was now replaced by silence. They no longer called, met, or laughed together as they once had. Although they were still surrounded by people every day, the absence of one another became a quiet burden that neither could easily ignore. As the weeks turned into months, that silence only became heavier. There were words left unsaid, apologies that were never spoken, and conversations that never happened. Looking back years later, Elton openly admitted that pride had played a major role in keeping them apart. He confessed that he wanted to reach out and make peace, but he kept putting it off, believing there would always be another opportunity. That moment, however, never seemed to come. Diana was carrying struggles of her own. She was trying to rebuild her life after the painful breakdown of her marriage to Charles. She had lost her title of Her Royal Highness, was facing constant attention from the press, and was surrounded by advisors, critics, and endless public scrutiny. Every move she made became front-page news, making it harder than ever to know who she could truly trust. At the same time, Elton remained deeply involved in his music and charitable work, especially his efforts to raise awareness for HIV and AIDS. From the outside, he appeared as busy and successful as ever, but privately, he admitted that something was missing. The friendship that had once brought him comfort and understanding had become a source of regret. Even though they were no longer speaking, neither of them truly walked away from what they had shared. The memories remained, along with the respect and affection they still had for one another. Their friendship had not disappeared overnight. Instead, it became buried beneath hurt feelings, pride, and unfortunate timing. Neither Elton nor Diana realized that time was running out. They both believed there would eventually be another chance to talk, to apologize, and to repair what had been broken. While Diana was struggling with the collapse of her marriage to Charles, making it difficult for her to reach out to Elton, Elton was also deeply consumed by his career and charity work. But what unexpected event brought them back together? Did they finally apologize for the months they had spent apart? And what promise did they make to each other? Let's find out. The heartbreaking reunion. In the summer of 1997, just when it seemed their friendship might never recover, an unexpected tragedy brought Elton John and Princess Diana back together. The shocking murder of their close friend, the famous fashion designer Gianni Versace, left both of them heartbroken. His sudden death sent shockwaves around the world, and for Elton and Diana, it became more than a shared loss. It became the moment that finally ended months of painful silence. They both traveled to Milan to attend Versace's funeral. The atmosphere was filled with sadness as family members, close friends, celebrities, and world leaders gathered to say goodbye to a man they had all loved. But among the grief, another emotional moment was quietly unfolding. For the first time in many months, Elton and Diana came face to face. Neither of them knew exactly what to expect. The hurt from their disagreement still lingered, but so did the memories of the close friendship they had once shared. Before Elton could say anything, Diana made the first move. She walked over to him with warmth and sincerity, putting aside pride and the pain of the past. With heartfelt honesty, Diana apologized for the painful distance that had grown between them and admitted their disagreement should never have happened. Elton was deeply touched by her sincerity. In that emotional moment, months of hurt, silence, and disappointment faded away, restoring the friendship they had both quietly missed. As they stood together, they comforted one another through their shared grief over losing Versace. Before long, the conversation became lighter. True to Diana's playful personality, she even made a joke that brought a smile back to Elton's face. For a brief moment, it felt as though nothing had ever come between them. The friendship they had both missed so deeply was finally beginning to heal. When the funeral came to an end, they parted with hope instead of sadness. They promised they would see each other again soon and looked forward to putting the painful chapter behind them. Diana and Elton John finally reunited after months of silence and promised they would see each other again. But were they ever able to keep that promise? If not, what heartbreaking event prevented that reunion? and how devastating was the tragedy for Elton and the rest of the world. Let's uncover the emotional details. The song that made the world cry. The reunion at Gianni Versace's funeral gave Elton John and Princess Diana hope that their friendship was finally back on track. After months of silence, they had forgiven one another, shared comforting words, and even laughed together again. It seemed like the painful chapter between them had finally come to an end, and both looked forward to spending more time together. But life had something far more heartbreaking in store. Just 6 weeks later, the world woke to devastating news. Princess Diana had been killed in a tragic car crash in Paris. The shocking announcement left millions in disbelief, but for Elton, the loss was deeply personal. Only weeks earlier, they had promised to meet again. Now, that promise would never be fulfilled. As the world mourned the people's princess, Elton was asked by Diana's family to perform at her funeral. Wanting to honor her memory, he and his longtime songwriting partner, Bernie Taupin, reworked the lyrics of his famous 1973 song, Candle in the Wind. The new version became a deeply personal farewell, paying tribute to the woman who had meant so much to him. When Elton sat at the piano, inside Westminster Abbey on September 6, 1997, the world stood still. Millions watched as he struggled through one of the most emotional performances of his life. It was not simply a song. It was the heartbreaking goodbye of a man mourning one of his closest friends. After the funeral, the song was released around the world and quickly became a historic success. It remained at the top of music charts for weeks, sold more than 33 million copies worldwide, and became one of the best-selling singles ever recorded. For many people, it became the soundtrack of a nation's grief. Yet Elton never celebrated its success. Years later, he admitted that the song's popularity brought him little comfort. Instead of feeling proud, he felt uneasy. He questioned why so many people wanted to keep listening to a song born from such painful loss. He even described its success as morbid because, in his mind, it turned personal heartbreak into worldwide entertainment. To Elton, Candle in the Wind. 1997 was never a career triumph. It was simply the final goodbye he wished he had never been forced to sing. Beyond Elton John's heartbreak over never seeing Diana again after their reconciliation, what became his greatest regret? Did his friendship with Diana end with her passing? And what did he do afterward to honor her memory and keep the promises he felt he still owed her? Let's find out. Legacy, regret, and the silence that remains. Although Princess Diana's life came to a tragic end in 1997, Elton John has never truly left her behind. The years have passed, but the memories of their friendship have remained as strong as ever. Whenever he speaks about Diana, it is clear that he does not simply remember a princess admired by millions. He remembers a loyal friend who filled his life with laughter, kindness, and understanding during some of his most difficult moments. As time went on, Elton became more open about the regrets he carried after her death. He often reflected on the months they spent apart because of a misunderstanding that neither of them corrected soon enough. Looking back, he admitted that pride had stood in the way of a friendship that meant the world to both of them. They had both believed there would always be another chance to talk, another opportunity to apologize, and another day to make things right. Sadly, that chance never came. Among all the things he has shared over the years, one confession stands out more than any other. Elton has openly said that if he could relive those days, he would simply pick up the phone, call Diana, and say the words that were left unspoken. In his own view, a single conversation might have erased months of silence and spared them both from carrying unnecessary pain. That regret has stayed with him ever since, becoming one of the deepest emotional wounds he has ever spoken about. Even after Diana's passing, Elton remained committed to protecting the people she loved most. He has continued to support both Prince William and Prince Harry, offering them friendship and encouragement over the years. He has also spoken publicly about the dangers of relentless media attention, believing that the same level of press intrusion that followed Diana throughout her life contributed to the tragedy that took her away. Because of that belief, he has often defended her sons whenever they faced similar public pressure, determined to honor the promise he felt he owed to their mother. Today, Elton no longer remembers Diana only as the people's princess or a worldwide symbol of compassion. To him, she is still the warm, funny, caring woman who welcomed him with a smile on the night they first met. Their story remains one of deep friendship, shared struggles, heartfelt laughter, painful silence, and lasting regret. It is also a powerful reminder that life is unpredictable, pride can be costly, and sometimes the words we leave unsaid become the ones that stay with us forever. So, what do you think about Elton John's confession? Could he ever recover from the emotional toll of Diana's death? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.